What's up, you guys? Friendly Neighborhood Geek here, doing another action figure review. This time, again, you see the thumbnail and you see the title, you know who we're talking about. I wanted this character since since this wave of figures released. They've been on my list uh, for a minute. There's a couple of other characters in this series I would like to get. But this one, I mean, I could have got this figure at any time, but again, I just kind of held off on getting him because he's not. You can find him for the most part, you can find him fairly inexpensive. Um, but yeah, this is actually my sibling's copy. Um, and yeah, I decided to just do a review. Go ahead and do a review on the figure anyway. But yeah, we'll be looking at my siblings' said coffee. Luckily, it's still in good shape. But yes, today we are looking at one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Shadow the Hedgehog. Yes, from the Sonic 3 movie. Saw it in theaters around like the first week that I think it came out. It was like a couple days before Christmas or something, and really enjoyed it. I think it was the best one out of the trilogy, honestly. Um, yeah, unfortunately, haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater. I remember most of it pretty vividly, honestly. But of course, unless I was to buy on DVD, um, buy on DVD or whatever, yeah, I got to pay for it on, pay for it on streaming. So yeah, but anyway, really good movie. If you haven't seen Sonic 3, highly recommend it. I mean, the whole trilogy is good. I guess right off the bat, uh, I'll be ranking them in the order that the movies came out. One was fine. One was good for what it was. That one was a little bit more, lean more into the kid friendliness and the kiddie humor. But it had the promise of a good Sonic movie, Sonic story. Of course, get a little off topic I have to talk about, and then we can talk about Shadow, who's resting in my hand. Um, uh, for those who don't know, you can find the scene on YouTube. There are some deleted scenes for the first Sonic movie. There was a scene where we saw that Long Claw. I'm assuming you've seen the first film if you're watching my video. Long Claw, who technically was Sonic's adopted mom, basically, she also came through the portal with him in the opening of the movie instead of how it played out, where he by himself just came to Earth alone in uh, the original deleted sequence. They both came through the portal to Earth, and she would end up dying of old age, leaving Sonic alone, and that would eventually, I guess, he would eventually find his way to Green Hills and meet the character Tom and his wife Maddie and all the other supporting human characters. Which would have been really, I mean, it was kind of more dark, honestly, but I think that tone would have worked a lot better, in my opinion. Like, it would have made the movie a little bit more grounded. Um, but I guess, wanting this to be a little bit more lighthearted, the first movie, it's understandable that they cut it, but I still think they should have kept it in. Um, Two, it introduced Knuckles and it kind of expanded the lore. There was a tie-in comic that a lot of people maybe aren't super aware of. I haven't read it yet, but I heard it's good. A tie-in comic that kind of takes place after the first movie, but before the second movie, I believe. That's that's really cool. So but two was good. It had Knuckles in it, and like I said, expanded the lore, and the finale was Supersonic fighting Eggman was really cool. And then we got three, which had Shadow and Gerald, Dr. Eggman's grandfather, and it had a really solid storyline. A little bit, the subject matter was a little bit darker, more mature, which I like. But we got a really solid toy line from yeah, from the third movie. I would still like to get the plushies for the third movie. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow all got plushes. I'd like to get them. I think my brother has Sonic, and he did have Knuckles. I'm not sure if the Knuckles was on the same scale of Shadow and Sonic, but of course he broke those figures up. Unfortunately, I will have Sonic. I will show him as a side comparison towards the end of the video. So hopefully that fate won't happen upon Shadow. Um, but yeah, I stated in the Sonic video, and I think Sonic toy collectors and or Sonic fans who like these type of toys or buying the Sonic merch, everyone has pretty much said that these figures have are probably the best quality. Jack specific, I think, is it Jack's Tomy? Is it Tomy Jack specific? Uh, I can't remember, or maybe I can't remember. I don't know if it says who it is. Let me see the bottom of his shoe. No, it just says 2024 Sega. Oh yeah, Jax. Okay, yeah, Jax. Jazzwares was the one who owned the license, I think, before Jax. Um, so yeah, these are probably the best Sonic toys we've ever gotten as far as quality, posability. The sculpting is really nice. Yes, these are the movie designs, which may not be everyone's thing, um, but these are really really good, and it's like, dang, like if they could make these bomb ass Sonic action figures that surpass what came before for Sonic toys. Like Jazzwares did a pretty good job. They had a series called Super Posers, which in the name poser, they were very posable and had a lot of the quality of those figures were nice, but they weren't really in scale with like traditional action figures. They were kind of like bigger a little bit. So still good, still solid collector figures, but like I said, they didn't scale well with other figures. Now, in the Superposer line, I believe it was Sonic, Shadow, maybe Tails, maybe Knuckles, Super Sonic, Super Shadow. So a little bit of variety, but not a whole lot. Yeah, kind of like the movie line. um, but yeah, and then when the Sonic 20th anniversary toy line happened, those Sonic Jazzware Sonic figures had some really good articulation and posability. And this to me is like just an update, an upscale version of those older figures. But like I said, quality is great. And unfortunately, due to all the amazing posability, you probably will get a little bit of looseness over time. That's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? There might be some ways to fix that, work around that if you know what you're doing. But like I said, the sculpt on him is great, and he's also gotten some variants. There's a version where that he lights up. You press a button on his chest, his eyes light up, and maybe like the red on his uh, spines light up or something. His eyes light up. And I saw a 2-pack at Target, which is where we got this figure. A 2-pack at Target where Super Shadow, Super Sonic in a box together, and they light up, and like I said, their eyes and bodies light up and stuff like that. So that's really really cool. Those are out there. Those exist. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Um, but yeah, I saw a version of him on his motorcycle, and I think he had his gun. That's another thing. If you have like military weaponry, or you have 1/12 scale weapons, you could display him holding one. I've seen a few reviews. People displayed him holding a gun or a weapon. I know I have some like for my Transformers, so if I was to get my own, I could probably pull that off. I saw there's a variant of him where you see he just has like a grimace look, like he has a frowny face. I saw a figure where he's like, yeah, his teeth are showing, has a more angry look. Um, but like I said, posability. Head can go 360. Head is on a ball joint. That's really good. Like I said, the detail on the eyes are really nice. Like you see his hands can open up, go that far. He has a wrist joint. I believe the wrist can rotate all the way. You can see he has the elbow joint. He has kind of butterfly joints, which Marvel Legend figures tend to have. I think my, I didn't think to pull them out. I didn't feel like pulling out those containers. I could have pulled out my Wolverine out of curiosity just to see how well, since Wolverine's on the shorter side, see how well he would scale. These guys would scale with like traditional human characters. Like some butterfly joints, might be have to be careful with those. When you get this figure, handling this figure, just kind of, fiddle with it, see what it's capable of doing and what it's not capable of doing. And I'll show an example of that in a few minutes. Uh, but he has waist swivel. Yeah, looking from the back, that probably, yeah. Let's switch. Let's rotate him back. Um, Probably wouldn't fly today. Uh, but yeah, like I said, he has ankle pivot. This is his leg can, yeah, um, leg can rotate, knees. So again, Shadow has. I can put him in that classic Shadow pose he does, where he has his arms crossed. Um, but yeah, but yeah, he's great. I mean, this to me is probably the best Shadow we've ever gotten. Now, I forgot Nendoroid, which Japanese toy company. They kind of make chibi versions of popular characters. They did do a Nendoroid Sonic years ago, and I had one. I didn't have. I had the second release. The second release came with less accessories. Yeah, I had him for a little while. Decided, nah, I don't really want this figure. Um, and I ended up, selling him on my eBay store. I think last year was the year of Shadow, and not only did he get like a new video game, Shadow Generations, which was basically a re-release of Sonic Generations, but they added the Shadow campaign to it and added some new stuff to it, which was really cool. I heard a lot of good things about that re-release. And of course, the Sonic movie, where he was the main, or supposedly the main antagonist. Um, but yeah, like I said, last year it was the year of Shadow. So Nendoroid made a Shadow figure. I think it has come out by now, and that was solid, like a kind of a chibi Shadow. It was cool. Came with some cool accessories. But like since I have the Nendoroid Sonic, probably won't get that one. I'm content with just getting one of these, and like I said, getting the Super Shadow version, and um, but yeah, the other characters in this wave, Sonic, who I'll show in a few minutes, Dr. Gerald, which is amazing. I think this is the very first time Dr. Eggman's grandfather has ever gotten a toy. So that's a big deal, really big deal for Sonic collectors. Of course, Dr. Eggman, both him and the Gerald Robotnik are solid. Of course, they favor Jim Carrey. Of course, yes, Jim Carrey played Dr. Eggman and his grandfather, which I think he did a great job playing two characters who are family members basically. But I would have been nice if they maybe hired, another person to play Dr. Gerald. Um, and like I said, in Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and yeah, I think that's it. That's everybody on the wave. And then, like I said, Super Sonic, Super Shadow. Uh, like there's a version of Tails wearing a Chow helmet, which was like a funny little scene in the movie. I went to the Chow Cafe, cool. Um, but like I said, say all that, the whole wave is worth getting because all the figures have this great posability and detail. But I would say Shadow is probably the highlight of the wave. Um, like I said, get them in a idle pose. Um, get them in a like I said, get them in get them in a fighting pose. That's cool. That looks cool. Like I said, I love the rings on his ankles and his wrists, his inhibitor rings. They help him control his chaos energy, his chaos power. If he removes them, like he just unleashes all the power that he has, which was one of the cool. Going a little off topic, for anyone who's familiar with Sonic 06, play Sonic 06. Considered one of the worst Sonic games ever made. There's a whole documentary, there's a couple of documentaries on Sonic 06 on YouTube. But for a lot of people did say that they felt like Shadow had a pretty strong character arc in that game. And there is a scene where him and Rouge and E uh, Omega, I forgot his robot companion, his robot friend, robot companion, are surrounded by the main antagonists of the game. And Shadow gives this awesome speech. That's back when he was voiced by Jason Griffith, who also voiced Sonic at the time. Gives this awesome speech. We see him remove his inhibitor rings, and they make a break for it because, like I said, they're surrounded by an army. They're completely outnumbered. Team Dark, and he, like I said, they make a run for it. But you see the power, like the energy, the chaos energy that he is like that's just radiating off of him, and it's like, yeah, you just look up the scene on YouTube if you're interested. It's a really, probably, if not the best, one of the best Shadow moments in all of Sonic. um, like I said, fighting pose, idle pose. Um, I'm trying to see. Yeah, try to get some kind of get him in a flying. You kind of get him in a leaping pose. But I was try to get him in a running pose. I guess, yeah, sort of. This leg is a little loose. What are you gonna do? Um, but like I said, he's great. He's great. But I so for those who don't know, he's voiced by Keanu Reeves in the movie. Keanu Reeves is a very beloved, well-known actor. Before he was casted, a lot of people wanted Hayden Christensen, the actor who played Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, in the uh, prequel Star Wars films. There was even a fan on YouTube who like made a little shadow animation using voice lines from Hayden's portrayal of Anakin from the movie, from the Star Wars movie. Yeah, it was really good. Like it showed like, yeah, Hayden, like his voice would have been perfect for Shadow. But I'm sure due to star power, and Keanu Reeves is more popular than Hayden Christensen, they had him be Shadow, which I think he did a, yeah, of course I love Keanu Reeves. I think he did a good job, but I'm like, when you hear what could have been, it's like, man, they should have had Anakin Skywalker play Shadow. Uh what could have been, but oh, excuse me. Yeah, a little bit of trivia for you. So yeah, so finally, let's see him with Sonic, who unfortunately somehow my brother broke Sonic's arm. I don't know if he still has it. You know, I could super glue it back at some point. That's, like I said, the arm is still in this home. But like I said, and I did do a review on Sonic before he lost his arm, before Sonic became Future Gohan. But they look good together. They look good together. It looks like Shadow might be a few inches taller than Sonic, maybe. Maybe they're around the same height. Um, yeah, their fight in the movie. Yeah, their fight in the movie and then their eventual team up was really, really cool. I thought that was handled pretty well. They of course they did their own thing, but of course they weren't gonna they weren't gonna pull. They pulled a little bit from Sonic Adventure 2, which is hard to believe. Shadow in Rouge's first introduction to the franchise was in 2001. It's pretty insane to think about. Um, yeah, playing with action figures. Um, but yeah, like I said, they look good together, minus Sonic's defeated, minus Sonic's one arm. Unfortunately, they look good together, and both these figures, again, all of the figures in the wave are worth getting. Yeah, going on 20 minutes. So that is it for this review. You can still find them. I mean, these Sonic 3 toys are still at Target. And like I said, I've seen some like the Super Sonic and Shadow and some of the other characters, you know. But I'm sure you can find them anywhere now. So, you know, they're out there. And like I said, in my opinion, a lot of people have said these are probably the best Sonic toys we've ever gotten as far as quality, posability, all that stuff. So, like I said, I do, you know, yeah, absolutely recommend the Sonic, represent the Shadow. Oh, recommend the Sonic, recommend the Shadow, recommend the Tails, the Knuckles, and uh, the Eggmans as well. Um, Dr. Eggman's grandfather. And I would like to get this whole wave at some point down the line. But yeah, that's it for this video. Next video, ironically, I have an item coming. I mean, this was an inexpensive item, and I'm very excited to look forward to reviewing this item because um, this, and it'll be in the next video. This character, the next character you will see, is a character from a movie that unfortunately didn't spark a franchise and had a lot of good, for the most part, a lot of good merchandise. And that particular version I will be reviewing is like the only figure representation of that specific character, honestly. So if you were to have a collection of those series of figures or characters, that figure is the only representation of that character that I'll be talking about. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll, like I said, when we get into that video, I'll talk about all of that stuff. But um, yes, as far as my plans, if you've been following me for a long time, um, I have been trying to enlist in the Army to better my life and a whole bunch of other factors. It's been a process, it's been a journey. Uh, I've taken my test 3 times. Each time I did, first time didn't do so well. Second time I did really, really good. Third time, my score went down a little bit. So the next solution was, okay, I'll try to get, have a tutor. So I start my tutoring next week of this recording. This recording might be uploaded next week. So yeah. So hopefully that will go well. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. And I get to take my test again in September. So that gives me July, and it gives me like 2 months to mentally and prepare and go over the material, all those type of things. So that's what's currently up with me as far as my goals. But as always, like, comment, share, and stay tuned for more. Peace, you guys. Okay, bonus. I did want to speak on this real quick. I didn't think to mention it in my video. My history with Shadow. I've played a little bit of Sonic Adventure 2. I played Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I beat 1, but only play a little bit of 2. I was growing up. I was introduced to Sonic Battle, which was a Sonic fighting game for the Game Boy Advance. If you can imagine that, Shadow was a playable character in that game. He was in story mode. Um, and I remember Shadow the Hedgehog came out back in 2005, which is kind of considered one of the worst Sonic games. I love it. I mentioned Sonic '06 earlier. There were fans who uh, like pretty much modded Sonic '06 to make it more playable and made it work better. And I've heard a lot of good things about that, so I might look into playing um, Sonic '06. Well, the modded, the fan edit version, I guess you want to call it. Uh, yeah. So there was also a team of developers who did the same thing for Shadow. So Shadow got Shadow the Hedgehog Reloaded, which I have that downloaded on emulator. I played a little bit of it, and it fixes a lot of the issues that the original game had. I played a little bit of the original, put it down, and when I decided to go back and give it another try, I downloaded the reloaded version. And like I said, I could see some of the changes that were made for the better. And yeah, every time I decide to do a full playthrough or play through Shadow the Hedgehog, I will definitely play the reloaded version. Um, so like I said, and of course watching Sonic X, and he was just, his overall design, yeah, he looked like an evil version of Sonic, a mirror version. But his overall design, the like I said, the rings on his ankles, his shoes, his air shoes, his red eyes, the red colors on his body, um, the black hedgehog. His overall, sometimes it's just a character whose design just speaks to you, or you just gravitate to them. Unfortunately, in the past decade or so, he's gotten the stigma that he's the emo character, edgy the hedgy, which is hilarious. But there's more to Shadow than just the way he carries his demeanor and all that stuff. He was always a character that had a really well thought out, interesting backstory. Originally in SA2, spoiler, he sacrifices himself at the end of the game. They were gonna have that be the end of Shadow. Like he wasn't going to appear at all after SA2. But he was so popular that Sega found a way to bring him back, and he's been a mainstay character ever since. Probably one of the best supporting characters to come out of Sonic. Try to do the same thing with Silver, and unfortunately, they couldn't capture the same. They couldn't have lightning strike twice. But like I said, that's my history with Shadow. I love his character, everything about him. He's cool, all that good stuff. I've been trying to hunt down a Jazzwares Shadow plush. I have classic Sonic and modern Sonic from Jazzwares, and Werehog Sonic and classic Metal Sonic from the Jazzware toy line. And I'll definitely be holding on to those guys. I think I did a video showing them off. But I would love to get the Shadow. Silver got one as well, but this Shadow, I believe, was like a Walgreens exclusive, so he's kind of pricey. There was someone selling him for like $40, which is like, I don't really want to pay $40 for an 8-inch, like an 8-inch plush, not a big plush, a small plush. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on that one day, and when I do, I'll definitely do a video on them. But yeah, like I said, like, comment, share, stay tuned for more. Peace, you guys.